Welcome to another episode of Equity Mates. It is Watchlist Wednesday, and we are continuing our conversation with Gino Ross from Spheria Global Microcaps Fund. My name is Bryce, and as always, I'm joined by my equity buddy Ren. How are you?
I'm very good, Bryce. This may be a long-form interview, but we will never miss a Watchlist Wednesday.
No.
It's our favourite time of the week.
Yes.
We're through half the week, and now we get to hear from one expert, 3 stocks on their watch list. What could be better? No better way to end the day. Anyway, I can keep rambling, but this episode isn't about me. It's about Gino. So, yes. Gino, thanks for joining us again.
Thank you. Thank you.
So, Gino, the rules are the same. 3 stocks, 15 minutes, and you've given us 3 that are on your watch list.
Yep.
We'll start with Steelcase.
Yep.
It's listed on the New York Stock Exchange with the ticker SCS. What is Steelcase all about, and why is it on your watch list?
They are the world's largest maker of office furniture. I'm just seeing if this is...
Like bigger than IKEA?
Oh, IKEA, shudder. Some horrible afternoons spent there. Steelcase, are the world's largest manufacturer of office furniture. Yeah, right. And no surprise with COVID, people are quite bearish the company. And we like that. You know, we like when expectations are low. Because that's when we think the company can jump over a very low bar and it presents value. And our view is that the market is overly bearish, Steelcase. So yes, I have a lot of sympathy for the market's view that people are going to work from home for a while, who knows how long, but that there's going to be this very slow return to the office. But what I think the market is missing is that you're going to have a lot of churn in office furniture. So firstly, I would say that, the way offices are set up is going to have to change. I mean, for instance, at Pinnacle, they've moved to more a hot desk system. So you're going to have more hot desking, more collaborative furniture. So for a place like Steelcase, that may mean higher tables and stools. The way the furniture is set up is going to be different. I'd also say that employers have to entice workers back. So, I've been sitting on my Trachedax at home in my privacy. Now I'm going to have to come back and sit at my stall. I think they're going to struggle with that. And Steelcase's clients are the Morgan Stanleys of the world, the Microsofts of the world, big multinationals. And I think they're going to want to show their employees that, they care about them, they're going to entice them back. And you've seen this trend in furniture where the petitions have come down, the space has been opened up, and I think there's a very real possibility that goes the other way, where it's a bit more privacy, there's more partitions, you're still going to have more video calls that you need privacy for. Obviously, if we're concerned about COVID going forward, partitions is another good thing. So I think you're going to see churn in the furniture. I also think the spend may go up in terms of quality and in terms of size of the furniture. And finally, you see with office rents depressed, you're probably going to see a lot of companies taking advantage of that and moving. And in that move is often a catalyst for new furniture. So I think the market is overly concerned about the head count, the number of people in the office, and I don't think they're paying enough attention to the replacement cycle in the furniture. That you're going to have this regeneration in the furniture. But any way you put it, I mean, expectations are low, right? So I don't even need my thesis to play out. It's got a very strong balance sheet. It's a very good company. And, with any luck, the industry will improve too, because, some of the smaller guys will struggle in this environment. So, for me, that's a really good opportunity.
Yeah, nice.
And just because we're talking microcaps here, what's the market cap of this company?
It has gone up since we bought it. So when we bought it, it was around about US $1 billion. Currently, I think it's about 1.5, 1.6 billion.
Right.
So
does that mean you have to sell it soon?
No. No one's taking my Steelcase away at this price. No, our criteria, we don't have a hard limit on when we sell. It's more, has our thesis played out? Is the valuation, fair to rich? And is it discovered? I think Steelcase, has got one analyst covering it, surprisingly. Like,
Yeah.
it's got very little
Soon
coverage.
to be many more after watching
Soon-
this.
Yeah, it's crazy to me that it can be the biggest office furniture
Yes.
supplier
Yeah.
in the world. Like the biggest anything in any industry, I would have just assumed had more than one analyst.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
And more than a bill market cap.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, you'd be surprised. I mean, we bought Sonos at close to a bill as well. You think Sonos, has such brand presence, and you think, wow, 1 billion for Sonos. Like,
Yeah.
So you do get that a bit, where it's like, wow, such a small company when you think it'd be quite large.
Yeah.
Well, we'll touch on a bit more about your investing process in an episode tomorrow, but we'll move on to the next stock, which is Watkin Jones,
Yes.
London Stock Exchange,
Yes.
and its ticker is WJG for those playing along at home. What is Watkin Jones and why is it on your watch list?
Watkin Jones is a property developer. So, property developers are known for being quite risky. And you have some good years, have some bad years, and obviously it can be catastrophic if things go wrong. But what we like about Watkin Jones is they are a niche property developer. So they're focused on student accommodation, and they focus on build to rent.
Okay.
Yeah.
And obviously, much like Steelcase, the market is very down about student accommodation,
Yeah,
particularly in the UK. When are these students going to return? What's the demand going to be like? So it is very depressed. The nice thing about Watkin Jones really is it operates in these niches, and they're quite big projects. So not every developer can rock up and compete with them. But the real jewel with Watkin Jones is client base. They've got about 16 institutional investors, so insurance companies, pension funds, endowment funds, that commit to buy these buildings off Watkin Jones. And really it's that institutional investor base that differentiates it from many other property developers. So they will agree to build a large student accommodation project or a build to rent, where the institution then owns the building and rents out all the apartments to individuals. So all these instos are struggling for yield, even more so after COVID. And so, it is a relatively good a place to look for yield, particularly in the UK where you do have a housing shortage by all accounts. So, the cash flow is very good because they get paid promptly by these institutions and are having to sell off bits and pieces here or there. Once it's built, they can get paid. The way they contract these buildings is very good, and we're very comfortable with that. So we don't think that they're taking on undue risk. They've got a fixed price contract. They've been operating a very long time. They were net cash going into COVID and used COVID as an opportunity to buy up a lot of land. So they really took advantage of that period to really build a nice land bank. So we think it's a very well-run company with bright prospects, and
nice.
that's very depressed at the moment because of COVID.
When you're looking at a company like this, I imagine its pipeline of future developments is critical, and I imagine that's even more so when COVID has put a big question mark over, student numbers going into the future, international students coming to the UK. What does their development pipeline look like? And as everyone's getting vaccinated and things are slowly going back to normal, are new projects being added to that pipeline?
The pipeline is very good out to 22, but you're right. I mean, you would expect a hole after that, a hole which they'd need to fill. As you say, UK is doing a very good job on vaccinations. Remains to be seen what the government does about allowing students back in, but I imagine they're going to put them very much at the front of the list because it's a big industry for them, as it is in Australia. But right now the portfolio is, the order book is very strong. But again, it comes back to expectations and what are you paying for it? What does the market think? And if the market's pricing it as if that order book's going to fall away, then we think that's half the battle, right?
Yeah.
And it's on 13 times PE. The market really is not expecting much.
Yeah,
and I think the market's missing the fact that, they really bought up some choice land. The depths of the crisis, they did a very good job of doing that.
What's the ability, like, if they've got all this land, to pivot to non-student accommodation? Or are they student accommodation, that's our specialty?
No, I think a lot more of they do a tiny bit of just residential, but that's like 10% of their revenue. But I think you're going to see a stronger pivot to build to rent. I think it's a good product. where institutions are struggling for yield,
Yeah.
you're sitting on an asset that is giving you better yield than bonds. You've got a UK housing shortage. You've got a nice diversified client base, like the risk is pretty low. So I think the build to rent looks quite favourable for them. Yeah. The nice thing about student accommodation is there's a bit of IP there in how you design the building and build it, and whereas build to rent less so.
Yeah.
So ideally you'd see a recovery in student accommodation, but I think the build to rent is still a very good business for them.
So that's two stocks that have been somewhat hit by COVID and market expectations pretty low. The third on your watch list is Lectra over in France.
Yep.
Ticker is LSS.
Yep.
Is it the same story?
I wouldn't say market expectations are low, but certainly has been impacted by COVID as well. So Lectra are the leading manufacturer of fabric cutting machines. So they have these machines that with lasers cutting fabric, textiles, leather, predominantly for fashion apparel, but they also do furniture. They do a lot for auto, airbags and leather seats. And you saw fashion down 29% in FY20. So COVID has hurt them there as well. You've seen furniture do very well as people spend more time at home and visit their Nick Scully's. But automotive obviously was depressed, but is doing very well now as well. But fashion remains to be seen, and in fact, with fashion, a lot of their customers are the fast fashion guys because they need these machines. The key benefit of the machines is really yield. So you'll get a piece of fabric and the machines will be able to cut the fabric in such a way to maximise yield and reduce wastage. And a big part of this is the software. And that's really the nice thing about this business is once those designers use their software, that's very sticky. Then it's very hard for them to leave and use another software product because all their products, they're used to using it, so they're really quite entrenched with the software. So we like Lectra as an opportunity to play that COVID rebound in fashion, particularly fast fashion. Nice thing about Lectra too is it has quite high recurring revenue, so about nearly 70% of the revenue is recurring. So even though they're selling machines, you don't need to continually be selling machines to make money. They do well from maintenance, they do well from software as well. But the really, we've had Lectra in the fund since its inception, but we're very excited about news that they're going to buy Gerber, which is the only real competitor of substance out there. And they're in the US. So Lectra being a European company, very strong in automotive. Gerber is a US company, very strong in fashion. So you can see how putting those two together is fantastic.
Yeah, nice.
So I think Lectra's about 25 to 30% of the industry, and they're just buying the second biggest player. It's a lovely transaction.
Wow.
So
it's interesting that there's no competition concerns about the biggest player.
They haven't jumped over that hurdle yet, to be honest.
Okay. Yeah.
So that is potential risk. Hopefully because of the different markets, they can argue their case. But that is a potential risk, I think.
It's again similar to the first stock that you spoke about. It's another company that is the biggest in an industry.
Yeah.
And I imagine it's a pretty important industry. It sounds like it's a supplier to a lot of very big companies. I guess the question is, how is this a microcap?
It's probably 1.1 billion.
Yeah, it is actually. We bought it. I think it was about 600 mil US, but now I think it's about 1.4.
Oh wow.
Or 1.2, about that. So it is slightly larger than a micro now. But you're right. I mean, it is for the leader in what is a reasonable industry, because it's not just fashion, it's furniture, it's automotive. It is small.
I think if there's one takeaway that I hope some viewers that were hoping we would be talking about, microcap specky stocks, no profit, going to the moon, all that stuff, it's that even in the microcap universe, there's industry leaders with like good unit economics, good moats, good businesses.
And two of those companies are multinationals. Lectra makes hardly anything from France.
Well, that brings us to the end of Watchlist Wednesday, Gina. Thank you again. 3 great stocks that we'll be adding to our watch list 3 that again just show the vast universe that you're playing in. So
yeah, that's the exciting thing. There's just so many companies out there that we've never heard of, or that are just doing really like unique and interesting things.
Yeah.
And you see that especially in the microcap space.
Yeah.
Just fabric cutters. Who would have thought of it?
Who would have thought? Tomorrow we are going to be back with Gino for the end of our in-depth conversation on microcaps, and we're going to be discussing his process to find gems.
Yeah, this is the exciting episode. Well, I mean, they're all exciting,
Yes.
but if you've had your interest peaked throughout the week, if you've heard some of the stocks that Gino told us about today, and you're like, oh, this is interesting, I want to look more into it. In tomorrow's episode, Gino will be revealing his secret sauce. He'll be telling us how he finds these companies, and then you'll have the weekend to go and do it yourself. So join us, same time, same place tomorrow.
See you then.